Okay, so my name is McDonell. I work as an applications engineer for dedicated CAD systems. We would be the Archicad reseller for the Republic of Ireland and the North of Ireland. We've been selling Archicad for 12 years now at this stage. I am conscious of time. I have my clock running here in front of me, so I'm going to hit my 8 minutes. It may seem that I'm name dropping a lot. John, you've taken some of my stuff already. First of all, what is Archicad? So Archicad, developed by Graphisoft in Hungary. Archicad is BIM. It's almost always been BIM before BIM was around, but that's for me to say and me to prove as well. We used to call it the virtual model, but BIM has taken over now. Archicad 17 was released 3 weeks ago. I installed it last night on my own computer, so it's bang on just the cusp of a switch over into a new version of software. I'm going to kind of hone in on this particular point a lot through the slides. It's the flagship package from Graphisoft. Archicad Solo is a slightly different version. It's almost a light version of Archicad, geared towards smaller offices. Sorry, as well as being available on Windows and Mac, but the key point at the bottom of this slide, it's Graphisoft's main software package, purely for architecture. It's not a structural package. That's Graphisoft's focus. They haven't diversified out into structural or infrastructure. It's their package. That's a conscious decision on their part. They haven't developed a suite of software. I'll come back to that point in a few minutes. So just to make that point from the outset, so that it ties in later on a few more slides. So how is Archicad used in Ireland? Well, we can go from the ridiculous to the sublime. We have sole practitioners up to large multi-user teams. Also the scale of projects, we can go from my new extension that I'm hoping to get next year versus commercial or industrial fit-outs. I'm going to name drop. Somebody asked me recently, is an Archicad only for domestic projects? No. Well, a lot of the new Tesco retail complexes that you'll see around Ireland in various locations would have all been designed in Dunleary by one of our clients. So Archicad is commercial as well as domestic. Some critical features within Archicad, a brand new one which a lot of people have seen in other software such as SketchUp. We love SketchUp. It's been switched, it doesn't have Google anymore, but that's neither here nor there. The real-time cutting planes, I know other softwares have it as well, but more, again, brought to my attention by a client. We're talking about clash detection and programming. Sometimes the easiest thing to find clash detection issues is when you're actually looking at the model, rather than the software actually doing it for you. There's a lot of things that can be missed by the software, and you're talking about the extraction of machinery, etc., etc. That doesn't necessarily be caught by a clash detection, which that was great that we heard that. Priority-based intersections, which is another, again, it's an in thing in Archicad. It's brand new in Archicad 17. It also helps the model develop. I don't know if you can see some of the composites are self-intersecting. I'm not sure if other BIM packages have that as well, but we are kind of very impressed that we have it now anyway. This next bullet point is actually 2 bullet points at the same time. IFC certification, there was a question raised earlier on about interoperability, which I was happy to hear as well. In March, a number of the vendors were all certified by Building Smart, who are the company or the organization who develop IFCs. Archicad 17 has full import and export capability for IFC. When we see here BIM for technically now, IFC is almost hand in hand with that to try and keep it neutral, as you had referred to earlier on. Coordination View 2.0 and Building Smart 2013 COBE, they're fully embedded into Archicad 17. So again, we're talking about interoperability. I'll come back to my previous point that I made on the first slide in 1 second. Collaboration. Archicad is Graphisoft's main software package. That's it. Okay, it's kind of unusual. It puts us in a unique position where other vendors who are here with us, they have different software houses have a suite of software. They have for different fields. I know the Autodesk guys have a fantastic suite of software. I know I can talk about competitors. I'm allowed. Better Martin, who isn't here, he would let me, but he's not here, so I'm allowed to do what I want. So what would an Archicad user do to collaborate? Because Archicad is purely an architectural design software, what would we do, or what would an Archicad user do to collaborate if we want to do clash detection? Because we're going to be dealing with a structural person who's dealing in a software that may not be Archicad. or we're dealing with an MEP consultant who is not dealing with Archicad because Archicad is purely for design. What would we do? Now, I could substitute in another phrase. I'm not going to take a phrase from another vendor. That would be overstepping the mark a little bit. What will we do? Graphisoft developed Archicad for architectural design as part of the Open BIM initiative, which again driven by BuildSmart. Graphisoft encourages and facilitates this collaboration with other softwares, what we would call best-in-class design and management software, through the use of IFC. For example, Tekla, completely different company, completely different umbrella organization. They would be taken by Trimble, whereas Graphisoft would be owned by Nemetschek, which would be, they would be two high-level umbrella organizations. They would promote the communication between the two. So Tekla would be synonymous with structural engineering. So can we collaborate between the two? I want to clash detect my architectural model, my structural model. How would I do this? I would take all this through IFC. Within Archicad itself, the MEP add-on within Archicad allows internal clash detection, but between Archicad, that's an internal and it works exactly as we would like it to do. But if I wanted to go out and if I wanted to recommend further, this is where John has already named up some of my pieces of software. Tekla BIM site. Actually, again, ironic that Graphisoft would recommend a competitor software. It's on the Graphisoft website. Tekla BIM site, free commercial license. Okay, and people say there's no such thing as a free dinner, but it is free software, and it does work. It has its restrictions, and there are other pieces of software out there that do lots more things, but this as a grounding point to use for clash detection between IFC models being collaborated from different locations, why not? Okay. Again, Celebri Model Checker. This is a paid piece of software. Okay, so a big difference, and we're depending on the scale of the project, price dictates whether we're going to use it or not. For multiple participant design team, the cost could be spread out, and large companies reuse how many times are we going to use Celebri? That would facilitate us actually paying the license cost. There is another very important one as well, which we'll see in maybe about 8 minutes or so from another vendor, and I know it exists, and Navisworks is there, and it's very big, but you're going to hear about Navisworks from somebody else. Link through IFC, that's the core piece of information. Link through IFC. If we're taking pieces of data from different software, this whole IFC trend is hopefully going to tie in and allow us to be platform independent. Construction simulation. Archicad has its own construction simulation add-on, which we download for free and we install in Archicad, and it gives us a run through our building. We can take different elements, we can assign a date, start date, completion date, similar to Tekla Animator, which is again a piece of software from a different vendor. It gives the output of the building in an animation format. It doesn't give out Gantt charts, etc., but that's not what it was designed for. It's designed for purely visual. Recommendations if I went to an external vendor. Synchro, again, Synchro updated their IFC translator maybe 2 months ago. Had a pronounced effect on the capability of combining data between different modeling softwares. Vico, which is again another ironic piece of software, doesn't have a huge penetration in Ireland, possibly, I don't know about the UK. It started off with Graphisoft, it went to Autodesk, and now it's with Trimble. For some strange reason, it's done a little merry-go-round via all the vendors, and I don't know who it's going to end up with next. But it does, we're talking high level 4 and 5D solutions there. But again, their link is through, they have native interpretation, but also through their own IFC translation. Again, I'm name dropping a little bit here again. A case study, the National Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre in the UK. It's not a nuclear facility, it's just a manufacturing plant. Designed by Bon Bryan, who would be one of the bigger users of Archicad in the UK. Consulting with Bureau Happel structural engineers who are using Autodesk Revit structures. A very classic case, something that we come across all the time. We have an Archicad model, we have a Revit structure or a Revit MEP. How do they communicate? They have a BREEAM certified building at an outstanding rating, but by their own admission, this is not through me putting words in their mouth, clash detection via Tekla BIM site and Celebri. And that's how they would do it. Competing softwares, how do we tie it all in? IFC, and then we can pick or cherry pick whichever solution we want because of that interoperability. And this has gone back to me in my original phrase, Archicad is for design. It doesn't have the whole suite of tools that I need, so I need to, or one would need to talk between. Can't believe it's 10 minutes already. Some final thoughts. Archicad users are in a position to communicate 3D BIM data to a diverse set of software packages. That's a given. That's Archicad is, because of where it situates itself, it needs to be able to communicate. But Graphisoft is also committed to IFC adoption. It's linked to everybody else. So that's why we're putting so much emphasis into IFC adoption, because unless Archicad comes out next year and says we're going to develop a complete MEP suite and a complete structural suite, which they're not, this is how we communicate. Thanks for your time. I've done 11 minutes.